Stop making excuses for your gut instinct. Seriously, stop saying sorry for picking up on vibes that nobody else around you seems to notice. You walk into a crowded grocery store and suddenly feel a wave of exhaustion that isn't yours. Or you look at a smiling friend and instantly know they are crushed. While society tells you to toughen up or stop being so dramatic, psychology, specifically the work of Carl Jung, suggests something entirely different is happening. Imagine that overwhelming sensitivity isn't a glitch in your code, but an upgrade. Jung identified a specific, rare level of psychological development he called individuation. It is estimated that a small percentage of people reach this stage. For empaths, this changes everything. Those qualities you have been labeled with, too intense, too deep, too emotional, are not defects. They are the foundation of a higher level of consciousness. See, Jung believed that humanity is trying to evolve, and that evolution doesn't look like growing wings. It looks like developing a unified, autonomous mind. He called these individuals the individuated, people who have successfully merged their conscious logic with their unconscious depths. And if you are an empath, you are already biologically wired for this exact process. But here is the catch. It feels uncomfortable because you are breaking the mold. Let's look at the first sign, which Jung might call differentiated consciousness, though we will call it the anti-chameleon effect. You know that sensation when you are at a mandatory fun corporate event or a neighborhood barbecue and everyone is wearing their polite social masks? They are chatting about the weather or sports, sliding effortlessly into the role of perfect employee or nice neighbor. To you, that feels like physical suffocation. It isn't that you are socially awkward, it is that you have lost the ability to be fake. While others can shape-shift to fit the room, you physically cannot pull it off. It feels like wearing a wool sweater on sunburned skin. Jung realized that most people get stuck in their persona, the mask they present to the world. They actually believe they are the costume. But as an empath, you have already separated your true self from the performance. When you feel sick making small talk, that is your soul protecting its integrity. You aren't being difficult, you are being real in a culture addicted to pretending. And this leads us right to the next sign, a kind of radioactive autonomy. Now, I don't mean you are a hermit, I mean you have stopped outsourcing your self-esteem. Think about the last time you made a big decision, maybe buying a specific car or picking up a creative hobby. Most people poll their friends, check the reviews, and look for consensus before they move a muscle. They are terrified of the shadow, the parts of themselves they haven't accepted, so they need constant external validation to feel okay. You, on the other hand, have likely faced your shadow. You understand your own darkness and your own light. Because of this, you operate on an internal navigation system. You might buy that fixer-upper house because the vibe felt right, even when your practical friend said it was a money pit. Jung called this moral autonomy. It creates a weird tension where people might call you stubborn or aloof, but really, you just don't need their permission to exist. You have reclaimed the energy that most people waste on trying to impress strangers. Hang on though, because this next part is where most people get confused. It is about the energy paradox. Society loves putting us in boxes. You are either an introvert or an extrovert. Pick a team. But for empaths on this path, those labels fall apart. Jung noted that the most developed minds transcend these categories. Picture this. You can be the absolute life of the party on Friday night, deeply connecting with everyone, laughing, fully engaged. But by Saturday morning, you need to vanish into a dark room with a book for 12 hours to reset. People find this baffling. I thought you were outgoing, they say. You aren't mixed up. You are what Jung called transcendent. You have integrated both sides. You use solitude to gather wisdom and social connection to share it. You are like a deep-sea diver who can also run a marathon on land. You are amphibious. This synthesis goes even deeper, affecting something Jung called the anima and animus, the masculine and feminine forces within everyone. We live in a culture that often emphasizes rigid gender roles, but the individuated person sees past them. If you are a man, you might possess a deep capacity for nurturing and following hunches without feeling it threatens your masculinity. If you are a woman, you might wield logic, boldness, and leadership with zero apologies. Think of it like a Swiss Army knife. Most people only use the bottle opener and ignore the other 12 tools because society told them those gadgets aren't for them. You use the whole knife. You feel the emotion and you analyze the logic. This wholeness allows you to relate to anyone, but it also triggers people who are still fighting their own internal wars. Next, we have to talk about the GPS of the soul. This is the fifth sign. Jung observed that at a certain stage, the ego, that little voice in your head that wants money, status, and safety, stops driving the car. The self takes the wheel. This is why you might have walked away from a safe career path that looked logical on paper to pursue something that felt true to your spirit, even if it paid 50% less. Your friends probably looked at you like you had two heads. Why would you quit, they ask? You can't explain it with a spreadsheet. You just knew. This is the transcendent function in action. You are being guided by a deeper organizing principle. It is the difference between coloring inside the lines and creating a masterpiece from scratch. One is safe, the other is alive. This leads to living a non-linear life. Jung famously said, "The path is not known in advance. It appears when you put one foot in front of the other." While your peers are following the college, marriage, mortgage, retirement script, your life probably looks more like a zigzag. Maybe you traveled for years, or started a business in your 40s, or switched from banking to farming. To the outside observer, it looks chaotic. To an empath, it is the only way to breathe. You are prioritizing meaning over safety. That is terrifying, but it is also the definition of courage. You are blazing a path for a life that is uniquely yours, rather than a photocopy of your parents' days. Finally, we reach what Jung viewed as the ultimate goal: functional integration. We all have 4 ways of engaging with the world: thinking, feeling, sensation, and intuition. Most people lean heavily on one and ignore the others. The logical guy can't handle crying. The emotional person can't handle a spreadsheet. But you are developing the ability to shift between them. Imagine a friend comes to you in a crisis. In the first 5 minutes, you hold space for their emotions, feeling. Then, you use your intuition to sense the underlying pattern of the problem. Next, you help them build a logical plan, thinking. And finally, you make them a cup of tea to ground them, sensation. That isn't being scattered. That is psychological sovereignty. You possess the full kit. However, I need to offer you a serious warning. Jung was very clear that this level of development has traps. There are 3 specific shadows you must watch out for. First is the superiority trap. It is easy to look around at the sleeping masses and feel arrogant. Don't become the person who sighs at everyone else's lack of awareness. That is just your ego sneaking in through the back door. Second is the savior complex. This is huge for empaths. You feel everyone's pain, so you try to fix everyone. You turn into the unsolicited therapist for your entire social circle. Stop that. It drains you, and it steals their own learning curve from them. Third is the martyr. You feel so different that you decide you are a victim of a cruel, unfeeling world. You wear your loneliness like a badge of honor. Remember, Jung didn't identify these traits so you could feel special. He identified them because the world needs them. Your sensitivity, your intuition, your refusal to be fake, these are tools, not decorations. You exist to demonstrate what it looks like to be a whole, integrated human being. So, if you have spent your life feeling like an outcast, take a breath. You aren't broken. You are just early to the party of human evolution. The world doesn't need you to fit in. It needs you to stay exactly as complex as you are. If you are ready to stop apologizing for your depth and start owning it, drop a comment below with the word integrated. Let's see how many of us are out there. And if you want to learn more about handling that overwhelming empath energy, check out this next video because it explores how to protect your peace without closing your heart.